What is up, Sopranos fans? Kino here. A few years back, someone on the Sopranos subreddit posted a bunch of scripts from the series that he had bought off of eBay and digitally scanned. Thanks to his awesome work, we can now easily read the scripts for these 11 episodes. I'll link to the post in the description of this video, but I figured I'd also go through and highlight any interesting differences that I found in the scripts. After all, this is not only cool for seeing the differences between what's on the page and what ended up in the final episodes, but it's also an interesting way to look into the mindset of the writers at the time that they wrote these. Now, with any kind of production like this, a lot of things are going to end up different from the script. Dialogue will be changed slightly, scenes will be shot differently, and the directors of each of these episodes will have their own unique vision that they end up bringing while filming. I'm not going to document every single word that ended up slightly different from the scripts, but instead focus on the more interesting details and changes.
Babe, I can't, give an opinion every time you add a sentence. I gotta have the whole story flow.
I'm starting with the dialogue.
Starting off in the episode 46 long, the TV interview with the mobster at the beginning of the episode was originally supposed to be with Larry King. The Sopranos often like to use real-world celebrities and references instead of just making people up. However, I imagine that they probably couldn't get Larry for the show, as no one knew how good the show was going to be until the first season actually came out. Also, Barbara was originally named Annette. Now, interestingly, the name Annette is of French and Hebrew origins and means favored by God. Well, the name Janice is actually the same, being of Hebrew origin and meaning gift of God. So I can kind of see the naming scheme that they were going for here with the Soprano girls.
My name's Janice. Janice, Mom. You named me.
It's something else you threw away of mine.
Also, Jackie Aprile was originally named Pat. I'm glad that they changed this, as Jackie just fits the character so much better. Plus, then Jackie Jr. would have been named Pat Jr., which just doesn't have the same ring to it. They would of course reuse the name Pat for Uncle Pat Blundetto.
Who is this Uncle Pat anyway?
He was a knockaround guy like Tony's dad, but they let him retire to this farm upstate New York.
Finally, during the scene with the suits, Paulie mentions someone named Ginger. Now, we've never heard that name before, but based on the fact that Paulie is talking about her confirmation, I wonder if it might be his niece. Remember, Paulie has two siblings, a brother who's a doctor, and a sister named Rose.
Who set you up here? Not that fucking brother of mine, or Rose. They never provided you with shit. Well, your real children can start now.
When Tony convinces Paulie to take over the Aprile crew in the final episode, he mentions that Paulie has a niece with MS. Presumably, this niece is one of his siblings' children, and might be the Ginger that's mentioned here.
Paul, you gonna deny yourself life-changing money? A package to leave your niece who has MS?
Next, we move on to the episode University. Now, I mentioned this in my Ralph video, but we get some more backstory on Ralph from Tony, who says that he caused the girl's death in high school. Not only does this tell us that Ralph has always been messed up from a very young age, it also explains why Tony seemed to dislike Ralph from the very moment he moved back to New Jersey.
Ever since I'm back from Miami, he's up my ass. I'm earning with 3 hands here, and it's still not good enough to satisfy this cocksucker.
Also, I didn't notice this until I read the script, but we get a mention of a Lindsay Blundetto.
AJ, call Lindsay Blundetto.
Now, of course, as I explained in my family tree video, the Blundetto family are relatives of the Sopranos. However, I have no idea who this Lindsay is, or why Carmela is telling AJ to call her. It might just be some random cousin or something, or it might be the name of Louise before they renamed her. Either way, it's a weird call out to the Blundetto family, which really wasn't shown until season 5.
From now on, anytime somebody steps in a pile of shit, it will be known as a Blundetto. To the Blundetto!
Next, we move on to For All Debts Public and Private, and we have two small differences. One was that we get more of a backstory for Christopher's father, Dickie. I went over this all the way back in my first Sopranos video about Dickie, but according to the script, Dickie was never a made guy. I speculated on how this backstory might inform the Many Saints of Newark, but it seems like this was either cut for a reason, or this backstory is no longer canon.
You know, your father was like a mentor to me.
Right.
Stand up, you ask anybody. Your old man was a legend.
Lastly, in the scene with Tony at the diner, it was originally supposed to be Paulie instead of Bobby. Actor Tony Sirico apparently hurt his back before season 4 started filming, and they had to write him out of the first few episodes. This is why Paulie's in prison at the start of the season.
So, just back from college, huh?
Now, our next example actually comes from Twitter. The Sopranos guy posted this excerpt from the script Pyomai. Apparently, Georgie was supposed to have left the Bing and started working at the stable owned by Hesh. Now, Georgie eventually does leave the Bing in season 5 episode Cold Cuts after Tony hits him for the millionth time. But this script indicates that they were originally going to have Georgie quit much earlier. Given that this takes place in season 4, I imagine the reason why he quits is because Ralph hit him with the chain back in university.
What did you do?
Nothing. We were fucking around. It was an accident. Stop being such a crybaby.
Next, we move on to the episode Where's Johnny, and we have a lot of changes here. The post on Reddit actually says that this is an early draft. Starting off, the Lorraine scene is very different from what ended up in the episode. For starters, she's referred to as Linda for some reason, even though her name is Lorraine. Also, she's portrayed as a lot more pathetic than in the episode itself, and it feels a little gratuitous. I'm glad they changed it.
You're right. I'm sorry. I'll pay you, okay? I'll do anything you want. I'll suck your cock, okay? All of you guys.
Suck our cocks.
Yeah.
When Junior sees himself on the TV, the script calls the program The Larry David Show. Now, I've never heard Curb Your Enthusiasm called that, so either this is just how some people refer to the show, or the writer didn't know the name of the series off the top of his head and just wrote that in as a placeholder at the time.
Junior, it's not you. It's a TV program. A movie.
There's also a deleted scene of Bobby and Janice fighting. It doesn't really add anything, it just covers information that we learn in other scenes, so I can understand why they cut it.
I need your help here. Jesus Christ. Sometimes I think I love Junior more than you do.
Finally, when Junior is wandering around confused, there was supposed to be a POV shot of him in the neighborhood, seeing it like it was in the 60s. Again, I can see why they cut this, as it doesn't really fit the cinematic style of The Sopranos. In the episode Unidentified Black Males, there are two details I wanted to highlight. One is the mention of someone named Connie. Again, no real details, but based on the context, it seems like it might be a cousin or something of theirs, since they were attending their confirmation. Also, it was supposed to be Petey who messed up Joey Peep's gravestone, not Jason.
Fucking Jason. He's dyslexic.
What's that got to do with it?
The final script that we have is for the episode Long-Term Parking. There are three details that I want to highlight here. One is that Johnny Sack used to be Carmine's driver. This is completely believable to me, as we've seen characters like Christopher, who also drove Tony, be groomed for leadership positions. It also explains why Johnny was so devastated when Joey Peeps died, as he might have been grooming him as well to be a leader in the Lupertazzi family.
Little Carmine knew how fond I was of this kid, Tony. I picked him out of the chorus. Schooled him those years he was my driver.
Next, we have a cutscene where Christopher tells Tony about Adriana being an informant. I've talked about this before, but they actually did film this scene, but cut it from the episode and later added it to the episode The Ride in season 6. I'm really glad they did this, because it makes the scene where Tony calls Adriana all the more intense, as you don't know whether he's telling her the truth or not.
I mean, did he appear suicidal?
No.
Are you sure? Because his mom said he's very upset about something.
Finally, the script confirms that when Adriana is being held by the FBI while waiting for a lawyer, they intentionally break the law and don't call a lawyer for her. Instead, they let her stew there for hours, hoping to break her and force her to wear a wire.
How long are you gonna let me go without a lawyer?
I told you, they're backed up. You left 4 messages.
8 fucking hours, I've been here already.
Now, I made a video about the FBI and The Sopranos and their very unethical behavior, And I got some flack for that video. But this is the stuff that I was talking about. It's fine for them to go after these criminals, but they use some borderline illegal tactics to go after them. And it really blurs the line between who the good guys and the bad guys really are.
And nowhere but the FBI is the line clearer between the good guys and the bad guys. And you're with the good guys now.
But that's it for this video. I know it's a more niche topic, but I still found it interesting to learn more about the Sopranos scripts and the changes the show went through during the writing. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for more Sopranos content coming soon. I managed to get the drip on all these patrons. Matt Joyce, Uncle Mike, Sam Cedarland, Celery Man, Countess von Zarevich, Admiral, Neo Varma, and Juan Jaramillo.